Today, reviving a vintage tape, a hilarious restoration adventure. Hey there, tech enthusiasts. Welcome back to Gary Keep It Simple, where we're going to make technology easy to understand. Today, we're taking a trip down memory lane with a cassette tape from 1987. That's CD-MH Type 2 tape has seen better days, but we're going to try and bring it back to life, so buckle up for a hilarious restoration adventure. You ain't seen nothing yet. Yeah. Let's start with our star of the show. That's CD-MH Type 2 metal cassette tape. Now, you think that's a tongue twister. You should try saying it fast. I did, and it didn't work. Anyway, this vintage gem hasn't aged gracefully. It's stiff. It's causing mistracking, railroading, and wow and flutter. But don't worry, these aren't issues unique to this tape. It's common for tapes to dry up and become difficult to play over time. You've probably had some, they squeak and they do all sorts of weird and wonderful things. A lot of them just literally stop. You're playing them, everything's fine, and then they just stop. You think, well, what can you do? Well, this is what you can do. So, now let's dive into the restoration process. Our secret weapon, silicone dry lube. By lubricating the tape, we can help it perform better and bring it back to life. So let's get to work and see if we can make this old tape sing again. Looking at the tape here, you can see there is a distinct fold, crease in the tape, which has been caused by it being dragged off over the guides. And the result of that is that we've ended up with this trace on one side and this trace on the other. That is not good. This is what I did. I got that can and I sprayed it onto the hubs, which I did on both sides, but you see I actually soaked it slightly. I did turn it over and have a go on the other side. And then I quite simply poured a lot, or sprayed a lot, in on the ends there. Straight in, so that it actually got to the reels of the tape, because it's the whole tape that needs to be lubricated. It's no good just spraying a little bit. You have to get dirty with it. And having done that, what I then did was I put it into storage in a safe place. Well, I put it on top of my cassette deck, and I left it there for approximately 24 hours. The purpose of leaving it is to allow all the propellant and other liquids such as that to evaporate and to allow the tape to breathe, because we want the lube. We don't want it stuck together with the propellant. So that's what we did. That's what I did. And before I put it in the machine to try it out, I gave it a quick 1-2, have a quick look over it, and give it a little twiddle with the pen just to make sure that nothing had gone wrong. And it was okay. So this is where I then decided to do this. Having made sure there was no reason, obviously on the outside, why it shouldn't work, I then put it into a deck. And I used this one because this one is my I don't really care about it deck. Ask people why that may be, but it's a good deck. It doesn't do anybody any harm. But it's not my favourite, so therefore I didn't use it with any particular problems. And I fast forwarded it, then I rewound it, and then I put it into my good deck, which is the one that you saw in the previous video. After applying the silicone dry lube, it's time to test our restored cassette tape. Drum roll! And voila! Our vintage tape is now playing smoothly, and the mistracking, railroading, and wow and flutter issues are gone. Let's have a look at this and you can see what I'm getting at, and you'll be able to hear it as well. Okay, so now we can look at this. This is the trace from the other side of the tape when I turned it over, and I'll let you hear a little bit of this one, because this one not only looks very different, it sounds very different. The other one was only wrong on the levels, really. This one is very wrong in a way that, well, have a listen. What I did was I played the first bit there, and it was obviously wrong, so I took it out. I stopped the recording, took it out, made sure everything was okay, put it back in and tried again, and you can see it's exactly the same the second time. And that was really not right. This is not the way it should be. This is what should have been good quality sound, and it wasn't. So that's why I had to do the repair, as in get it going. Now this one is what I ended up with, having done the repair. This was purely having done the lubrication, and this sounds pretty good. Now, I have heard people say there's possibly a bit of flutter on it, but I think that's more down to the OBS than recording. So you can just hear the difference. I'll just play the first bit. That's all you needed to hear there. Hear how nice that buff ting was. And that's the difference that lubricating the tape made. So I think it's worth it. Anybody who thinks that this is a bad idea, this is a document from a proper institute which does archival work for putting cassettes into digital, and they use good quality lube and they use good quality machines. I'll put a link to this site in the description. It's like we've travelled back in time. Wow. Or is it? Yeah. All I can say is look at these results. And that's it, folks. We've successfully revived this vintage That's CDMH Type 2 metal cassette tape. I hope you've enjoyed this light-hearted restoration adventure. If you've got any cassette tape stories or restoration tips, please leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Gary Keep It Simple. Just so that you know what we're doing here. Silicone dry lube helps with cassette tape restoration by reducing the friction between the tape and itself and the playback mechanism, so the heads. It also lubricates the hubs. When you're looking at a tape, you've got these bits here, red ones on this, they are rubbing on the cassette shell. They get dry, so you want to get you want to sort the problem out with that. And yeah, the tape sliding over itself is a problem. And you've got pins and guides in there, and you've got guides on the machine, all of which the tape has to slide across smoothly. So this lubrication allows the tapes to glide more smoothly, preventing issues like mistracking, railroading and wow and flutter. Additionally, it can help rejuvenate dried out tapes, making them more pliable and easier to play. It's a bit like putting the hand cream on your hands. You know, you get to a certain age, you want to try and moisturise. Now, here's a few tips that you might find of use. To prevent your tapes from drying out in the future, consider the following tips. 1. Store them in a cool, dry place away from direct sunlight and heat sources. Now, it's cool and dry, not cool and damp, cool and dry. And number 2. Keep them in their original cases or protective sleeves to minimise dust and dirt exposure. That's quite important because you don't want the mess getting in there. 3. Avoid placing them near magnetic fields, such as speakers or electronic devices, as this can damage the magnetic particles on the tape. And 4. Rewind the tapes completely before storing them to maintain even tension and prevent warping. That's something we should all do, and very few of us do. But if you do, more power to your elbow. And if you don't, try and do it. 5. Periodically play or fast forward and rewind the tapes to redistribute the lubricant and keep the tape in good condition. Basically, what we're saying here is if you use them, you're going to get better use out of them because they go stiff when they're left. So by following these guidelines, you can help preserve your cassette tapes and keep them in optimal condition for longer. For more tech tips and tricks, until next time, keep it simple and have fun.